So into the charts we go. We are seeing a small update on Bitcoin. It's basically retesting almost to the penny right now that 30,500 level. So again, you can see that very clearly here. This is a daily chart, so each of these candles is a daily candle, and this is today's candle right here. And again, we're right up against that 3,500 level, which was again the high from 2 days ago, the high from yesterday, and again today. Now, the only interesting thing about today's price action is that today's action is coming on the back of a pretty decent number on the PPI. So PPI stands for Producer Price Index. It came in much better than expected, and essentially what that means is the inflation on the producer side was much lower than expected. So right off the bat, the S&P futures were up, the NASDAQ futures were up, we saw the dollar declining. Remember, a dropping dollar is positive for crypto assets as a whole, and again, that allowed Bitcoin to kind of catch a little bit of a bid. Now, it's not a big bid on Bitcoin in all fairness. We're still not breaking that high yet, but it is something that we want to watch to see. Now, we know the game plan. This is the beautiful thing about it, is we know what we're looking for. A daily close above 30,500. We then go on watch. We go on watch for 5 to 7 trading days. Does it hold above that level? If it holds above for 5 to 7 days, it tells us that, again, the 15,700-ish area right down here was likely. Probabilities then would start to favor that this was the low. Now, in that situation, if we consolidate above there, could we go a little bit higher in the near term? Absolutely. But essentially, for me, it starts changing my mentality, which would then be to buy key levels on a pullback. So again, let's just say we hold above here, even if we dump out back to 27,000 here, or even down to this level, it would be much more of a mentality of buying to potentially hold for bigger moves to the upside versus some of the quicker trading we've been doing on the longer side on Bitcoin and other coins in the last few months, right? So again, when we've been buying some of these coins and playing these long positions on dips, like for instance when we were right here and we were buying a lot of the alts and Ethereum long, etc., it was all about, okay, let's get the pop, and then we take profits, 10, 15%, and we pack it in. So then if you start pulling back, because you will get pullbacks in bull markets, bear markets, it doesn't really matter. You get pullbacks, you then start to look for bigger moves to the upside, because now you have a defined pivot low, which would be down here to trade against. All right. Now, one situation I did do today was I did add to that Ethereum short. The concept here was pretty simple. It is a double top on Ethereum, pivot high to pivot high. The Shanghai dealie there is complete at this point as far as I've heard. So again, that kind of may be allowing some new buyers to come in now that that is passed. And again, that's the Shanghai fork. So again, up into that double top, I'm a technical trader. That tells me that that's your level to pull the trigger on and short. All right, so again, that was my play from this morning to add to that position. Again, not big positions by any stretch of the imagination. I think in total now I have about 11% short my portfolio, 11%, which leaves 89% essentially in cash. So plenty of maneuverability. And again, when you're shorting, you got to leave yourself maneuverability, just like when you're going long. Because essentially it's the ability to trade around positions when they don't go according to plan that allows you to still make money on the trade. And again, the beautiful thing about it is you end up having more. So when you do make money, you make more money doing it as well. All right, like I said, we are seeing the dollar down today. If we bring up the DXY chart here, and again, there it is. The dollar continues to break down here. And again, this is a wedge pattern that does look like it's going to confirm a breakdown on the dollar. Now, it doesn't mean the dollar won't get a bounce. And the reason I say that is because you have a little double bottom here that at the low of the day on the dollar we did hit. But ultimately, any sort of bounce back, assuming we do confirm today, which looks likely, this would now become major resistance, this trend line. So again, in general, it continues to kind of breathe a weakness in the U.S. dollar, which generally will be positive for gold and silver as well as Bitcoin over the longer term. But again, a lot will be determined by how much fear comes in. Does that create a sell-off in risk assets, which then would include Bitcoin in the very short term? Remember, you can get short-term sells of panic even in gold. We saw that during COVID. We've seen that at many other times in market history. But gold usually thrives after that in bear markets and in tough markets, right? It's a store of safety after the panic subsides. Okay? All right, so that's where we are at this point in time as I continue to kind of scan through. I do want to look at a few of the other ones. Solana continues to rally. This is on my watch list for a potential short. The level, again, would be a double top up here if it gets there in the next day or so, right around $26.75. And again, that would be short-term resistance for a pullback on that one. Matic is getting a small bounce today. Nothing major, just a tiny little uptick. And again, I still would say that at least for now, this still is one of the weakest charts, considering so many of the other alts have at least been trending up versus this is a defined downward trend. All right, now granted, you do have higher lows and so forth, but for the most part, if you look at almost any other alts, they've all kind of been going up a little bit on a steeper angle than what we've seen here on Matic. Speaking of which, let's take a look at Cardano. Look at Cardano there, breaking that little pivot high here. So short-term close above could yield a confirmed breakout tomorrow. If that does happen, your next stopping point would be just above 50 cents. Now, there will be a shortable level on here, and this is the fun part, is that as we get more extended moves in the alts, we might actually get more opportunities for trade setups. So let's watch that very closely. Obviously, today is not something there. It's just watch to see if we get a breakout. But if we do, again, tomorrow confirm and we continue up, then right around 52 cents starts to look interesting for a potential short with an additional add at 58 cents and then about 66 cents. All right, looking at just a few of these other alts here, and to keep it somewhat on the shorter side today, take a look at, you can see a little bit of an uptick on Polkadot today there on the chart. Avalanche, we can look at that. That's also having a little bit of a move up. So you're starting to see alts catching a little bit of fire in today's dollar week market, especially with Bitcoin and Ethereum still holding up. But again, so far we haven't seen that follow through of the alt season that everyone is craving and saying that is going to come. And again, I'm more of a realist in that, I think it could come. We could get that pop. But again, nothing's guaranteed in any market, and people should be very aware of that. I get the sense that people are banking on it. People have leveraged themselves to the hilt for these kind of alt season rallies, these mega moves that are expected in the alts. And again, it always makes me nervous when I hear people doing that. It's the same type of thing that has me nervous when I keep on seeing so many big people claiming that Bitcoin and crypto has already bottomed and that this is a new bull market and that we'll be at 100,000 by the end of this year. Makes me very aware. I've been through, as I say, it's not my first rodeo. I've been through many situations, many bear markets before. And again, this would actually be the first bull market that actually allowed a lot of these newbies to be correct on a bull market run. And again, that's super unusual. Obviously, being the first time I've ever witnessed it, that would be somewhat unusual since I've had my fair share of bear markets in commodity stocks as well as now cryptocurrencies. All right, on that note, guys, I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.